Yeah, I haven't done one of these in a long, long, long time. Which is just a ramble, basically a stream of consciousness. So I'm sitting up here in bed and I'm listening to my weekly Richard Martin, and I'm hearing him talk about the opioid crisis and how he really hadn't paid much attention to it because I guess he didn't see it as serious of a problem back then as he does now. And I remember when I started talking about this maybe almost 2 years ago, that I said it was going to be a plague. I said it was going to be a really serious matter, which Trump and the Trump administration back then, and even the Obama administration before, didn't give enough credence to, or maybe they didn't really want to give enough credence to, or how serious the crisis actually was, even though in 2016 there was 62,000 people that actually overdosed on the stuff. And back then, this channel and us, because I considered my channel community, even though sometimes I have to use my pen pan to get it back in order. And a lot of reason I use the pen pan and I'm actually strong with it is because if I don't, because of my topics and the very topics I talk about that seemingly are all over the place, even though they're not. If I let it get out of hand, it'll actually become a zoo rather, very quickly. In fact, not even a zoo, the jungle, rather quickly if I don't, as you've probably seen over the past month or so. But it got me to thinking how this channel and you guys have helped me actually push the envelope as far as being on the cutting edge of what's going to happen next. And I say cutting edge because we're not on the bleeding edge. I've ventured into what the bleeding edge might be on occasion on live streams when I actually talk about it, but that is probably way too depressing to actually talk about really on a recorded video. When you get to musing about not just 5-10 years out, but 20, 30, 40, 50 years out, that becomes a much larger projection and a much larger changing of human society, which is probably way too far out to even think about. 50 years in internet time is an eternity, and too many twists and turns can happen in 50 years. So even 5 years right now is really, really difficult to actually predict or even forecast, because I think that we're at a nexus, and a nexus means is a decision point that a direction has to be picked. And once that direction is picked, that's where we're going for the next, who knows, 100 years, maybe, possibly. And I think it's a nexus because of several things. And this is going to be random. This is not going to be in order. So if you're looking for cogent, logical, orderly thinking in this particular video, you're not going to get it. Okay, this is musings. But if you think of why this is a nexus over the next year or two, I say 2020. I was hoping 2025, but it looks like it's going to be 2020. You have a lot of things converging. You have the changing of the guard as far as, I would say, global dominance. It hasn't completely switched, but I think the changing of the guard is happening as we speak. That's number one. Number two, we have a crisis of a 250-year-old financial system that may or may not, nobody can tell, have come to the end of its usefulness. It may have simply burnt itself out. And we're talking about capitalism. No instrument or institution lasts forever. And under the old world, capitalism probably would have had 1,000-year run, give or take, no less than 500 years. But we live in a hyper speed artificial environment, and time accelerates because of the knowledge that's being spread from one end of the globe to the next, and new ideas percolate at an increasingly faster rate. So capitalism as an instrument may have finally, possibly, met its end, or at least its end as a dominant instrument as far as the financial organization of the globe is concerned. So we have that nexus. And then what we might have be at is the elbow of what they call the singularity. Automation, artificial intelligence, material science, communications, all the global brain, as we might think it is, bringing together the whole human organism into one basket or one hive, may have put us at the elbow of the singularity. Kurzweil said that the singularity would probably appear right at 2030. But since we live in this accelerated time where we have an automation or a high-tech arms race right now because the military's gotten into it. And so now AI and automation and robotics and all the other different facets of it are being pushed to their limits. So instead of the slow acceleration, we're going to have almost a drag race. And all that stuff is going to filter down, not only from the military all the way down to, hell, the local hardware store. That's what we're seeing, because the military and capitalism are two wings of the same bird. Money and power, physical power, drive innovation. It always has. If you look at Europe, what drove the innovation of Europe in science was not money, was not humanity, but weapons and how to defend yourself against invasion from people with superior weapons. And capitalism is just warfare by other means, warfare with money. And so the warfare with weapons and the warfare with money have met, and they are now driving innovation with reckless abandon, and the human beings be damned. And that's what's happening right now. That you see it reflected in your budget. So we have all these three conversion points all at the same place at the same time, all forming a nexus, a decision point. And as the Oracle said in the Matrix, we cannot see past the decisions that we don't understand. And what we have here is decisions that we don't understand. We can't see past them because we don't know what's on the other side. Nobody does. And I think this channel and you guys as a collective have pushed our understanding of these decisions probably to the limit. Because we've asked questions that, hell, nobody's really asking. At least not in public. No, not only just on a personal level, because a lot of people think this is a black channel. This is a black channel for black men. But even black men as a singular entity in America, as a singular entity, don't live in a bubble. We're affected by black women, white society, Western civilization, and even the global entity, the global civilization that we call Western civilization, possibly led by the Chinese. We're all affected by it. Everything that we touch, eat, taste, smell, purchase is all affected by this global environment that we live in. So listening to Richard Martin talk about the opioid crisis, listening to Richard Wolff talk about politics, about the coming crash or possible coming crash, means that everything that they talked about behind closed doors, we talked about in public, which is basically the goal of this channel. Like Cerulean says, I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm trying to teach you how to think and how to look at things and how to look at things objectively and from a broader framework. And like it or not, I don't know if most people have liked it. I suspect most people haven't. Just like my grandson, when I sit down with him and help him do his homework, first 3 years, he hated my guts. Me sitting down him helping him do his homework, that I actually pushed him to do things that were uncomfortable. But now at 6 years old, even now, he sees he's one of the smartest kids in his classroom. And now what I see in his eyes is a grudging appreciation. Still doesn't like me. Still doesn't like when I sit down and do homework with him. But I see in his eyes a grudging respect. And I think I'm starting to see that with my subs. I know the ones that like me actually tell me they appreciate me. But I'm sure there's a whole lot of other subs out there that don't like me. But I think I'm getting grudging respect from the ones that probably even hate my guts. Because everything I've talked about on this channel, and I'm not perfect, and I would never say I was perfect, because there's a lot of stuff that, well, hell, there's a lot of stuff I don't talk about because I don't know enough about it. Why does it seem like I know more than most people? Is because I only talk about stuff that I know. There's a whole lot of random stuff that I don't have a clue about, and it doesn't show up on the channel because guess what? I ain't got no expertise at it. But the stuff that I do know and the stuff that I have followed are important and do affect your life. And I have pointed that out on numerous occasions because of what I've been taught is, who should I listen to? Out of billions of voices, who are the people that make the decisions that are going to affect our lives, and who should I listen to? That is the lesson that I learned very well. And that is the lesson that I have taught you guys over the past 2 years. Not what the ideology is, not what the most popular meme is, or who's tweeting what. How do you find out who you should listen to? Who are the people in places that know what they're talking about, have a track record, and are accurate to where you can get accurate information? And once you get it, how do you analyze it? And once you analyze it and you build your frame, as George Friedman says, once you build the frame, your analysis becomes predictive. And it's not like I would say, a fortune teller, because that's not what we do here. We don't tell fortunes. We don't use any esoteric means to tell what's going to happen in the future. We predict the future the same way a chess master predicts the future. He looks at the board, he looks at the pieces, and he finds out exactly how many moves are left in this particular game, because there's only so many options. And once you get down to that point, there's only so many options. There's only one direction that something can go in. So we start with options, we cut it down to direction, and then once we got direction, we narrow it down to outcome. Like I said, my job as an analyst, and I've done this for the past, I would say 15 years, is to give you a lead time of anywhere from 6 months to 3 years. Any more than that, it's a guess. But to give you a lead time of what could happen, what might happen, from 6 months to 3 years, that's a good lead time. Using what I call breadcrumbs, the direction. Once the direction is clear, there's only so many moves that can be made with that line of thought, of that line of decision making. Only so many moves. Once it's drawn out, you can only go left, right, or center. And once you form a straight line, basically, there's only so many decisions that you can make. And every prediction that I've made has not been based on opinion, based on who human beings are and the environment they have to exist in. Then it becomes really, really simple. So what looks like magic or looks like genius, it boils down to a little bit of hard work, a little bit of objectiveness, which is getting your feelings out of the way, pragmatism, and common sense. And a lot of people get tripped up, especially black men, by not using logic and common sense, believing that what you feel is valid and having your feelings over facts. Like I hear a lot of black women will never, or black women are too hard-headed, or America will never, or America can't, or any one of a number of things that I've heard about institutions, people, organizations that don't add up or have never exhibited that behavior in history. I've been accused of being quasi-scientific or using word salads or drawing from sources, from con men, from liberals, from whatever, or even drawing from racist sources. I've been accused of that. And even though I only show you probably less than 10% of what I have, that I accumulate, and I've been accumulating a lot of it lately. Show you less than 10% what I have. And people actually think I come to conclusions based on feelings. Probably read 10 articles every day based on, and they're not just brief either. 10 articles every day. I probably scan through 40, 50 headlines a day. I don't even watch the local news anymore, because my news isn't local. I scan international and national news like it's the daily newspaper. I probably know more about what's going on in the world than I do in my own city sometimes. But I get accused of not knowing what I'm talking about, or guessing, or using feelings as an opinion. When I have a database of 17,000 articles, going back all the way to 2003, have books that I can't even get to. And those are just physical books. I actually showed Obsidian what I read, and that list grows every day. That's not even the electronic stuff that people give me that I have problems getting to. People have given me 30 books in the last month if I just quit YouTube and just dedicated myself to relieving my reading load, it would take me a year and a half just to get through my whole reading load. Just what I have. And that's just reading. And we're not even talking about what's on audio. I got at least, just in audio books, I know I have at least 150 hours just audio books that I need to get to. It's a monk's life. Thank God I'm a monk. Thank God I don't have a relationship. There's no way I can maintain a relationship with anybody other than my family with this kind of load. Wouldn't be possible. What I'm saying is, listening to just Richard Wolff and Richard Martin and a few others, even Uchis Lead, a lot of stuff that we've been saying, that we've said, I'm just including others, we've said over the past 2.5 years. Seems like the rest of the world is now just catching up with us. And I'm sure a lot of stuff that you hear is ho-hum. And I know it's ho-hum because you guys seem bored, even though the world seems to be falling down around us, is because it is ho-hum. You've heard it before. You've argued about it. You disbelieved it. You've cursed it. You've said it was wrong. I just got a message from dude that, man, he's been arguing with me for 2 years. Arguing with me for 2 years about the same thing. And every day those headlines show up and prove him wrong. That's what I don't get. At what point are you wrong? About the gender war. I was on record about the gender war and why I thought that its end, or the beginning of its end, would actually happen. And now there are people out there that had desperately tried to keep it alive, and are still trying. But at some point, you're going to be wrong. And whatever disputes that the genders have, and I don't like even using genders, the sexes, which is all there is, sexes, have to settle their disputes because there are more pressing things to get to. Because half of what's going on with the gender war is silly. Because there's only two choices. You either step up or step off. You either step up or you step off. Now, black women have avoided it, and black men have avoided saying it. But it's come to the point where black men are saying it, and black women can't avoid it. And that's a decision they have to make. They have to either step up or they have to step off. You can't straddle the fence no more. And no amount of shaming, fussing, finger pointing is going to relieve you from that decision because you're at a nexus. You either step up or you step off. Same thing with politics. It's right, left. Because I just had a partner of mine, one of my think tanks talked about he was tired of this division. There is no division. There might be disagreements about how you handle the crisis that you're handling. But there is no division. The problems are in black and white. And Trump is handling things the exact same way, not the exact same way, but the thing is similar to the way Obama handled things. Because the really important things can only be handled a certain way. Doesn't matter who you are. If you got $20, $20 is $20. It only spends one way. You can either spend the whole $20 or you can spend less. Can't spend anymore. Now, how you decide to divide up that $20 is up to you. But the thing is, at the end of the day, it's in black and white. There's only so many decisions you can make. Trump made his, and now he has to live with it. Congress went right along with him. There is no division. When they signed that budget, when they gave the military all that money, there was only about 2 or 3 dissenters. Out of 535 members of Congress, there was only about 2 or 3 dissenters. So that left, right, liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican ideology is bullshit. I've been telling you it's been bullshit. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to serve notice to all the Republicans and whatnot out there. I've been tolerating it. I've been listening to you. I've been humoring you. I have entertained your political ambitions about left, right, and center. I have. But I'm going to serve notice. I'm not going to entertain it no more. I'm going to start calling it out as it is. It's bullshit. So we talk about Democrats and Republicans. I'm going to call you out on it. It's bullshit. And I haven't paid attention to it is because to me, it's not important. To me, it's inconsequential. But I'm going to just serve notice that I probably will not entertain it anymore. Me personally. So you come at me with Republican, Democrat, that kind of crap. I'm going to be blunt and I'm going to squash it. I play stuff by different voices so that you can hear more sides than one side. I play things from people that tend to tell the truth. Because a lot of your guys on the right, but sometimes even the left, because I don't even play a lot of what we call the left or liberal, because liberal is not left. I tend to play people that tend to be honest and will tell the truth. And unfortunately, most of the people that tend to tell the truth that have little to lose are probably on the left. Unfortunately, very few people on the right will actually tell the truth because the right pays better. Because trust and believe, the people on the so-called left that get paid do not tell the truth either. I don't play them. No, I don't play them either. I'm looking for other sources, right-wing sources or conservative sources other than Richard Martin. He's been doing double duty. And I'm trying to find other voices that will be more honest and will tell the truth, that are a little bit more radical, other than probably Russian Times, which is, believe it or not, Russian Times is not liberal. They're very conservative. In fact, they're extremely conservative because they're authoritarian. The Russians and the Chinese are very, very blunt and very, very non-liberal, which is the opposite of the way we've been trained. Anyway, what is the last thing I wanted to touch on before I cut this ramble off that's getting kind of long? I guess I've ran out of ramble. This is short for ramble. Used to be able to ramble for an hour, but I guess there's less and less things to actually ramble about. I mean, we could talk about the economy, but we talked about that. We could talk about the drug crisis, but we talk about that. We could talk about male and female relationships, which will heal themselves because the environment says it has to. But we've talked ad nauseum about that. We could talk about how men and women are coming to the table. That's what all these panels are about that are mixed, that are actually started by women, believe it or not, bringing in male voices, sometimes for their entertainment, but also so that they can learn. Black women know that they're in trouble. Black people know that they're in trouble. And black people know that this could go bad real quick. And as much as we talk about swirling and whatnot, man, everybody knows this racism is increasing. You can't, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, they all show it every day. They know that this stuff is increasing. They know that pushing two separate entities that you've kept separate for 200 years together is going to cause friction, and this friction is showing up in all sorts of ways. And there's no money to grease the skids. And when there's no money to grease the skids, you get people on edge, people turning inward on themselves and other folks, and probably thank God that white folks are not near black people, so a lot more black lives are saved. Decline of an empire, decline of a civilization is not pretty, especially when people aren't used to it. And that's what we're actually looking at right now. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be nice. It's not going to be happy. And all the breads and circuses of drama and celebrity is not going to keep you from it, because when you turn off the computer, you walk outside, you got to face real life. And what I like to talk about is real life. And I can't help you solve it. I can't help you figure it out, because everybody's circumstance is different. All I can tell you is that this is probably what's going to happen. You need to be prepared for it ahead of time. So when the signs start showing up, you start getting prepared and you start positioning yourself. It's like knowing that a punch is coming. If you know the punch is coming, you can duck it, you can brace for it, you can counter it. And all I can tell you is that the punch is coming. And this is where you need to look. And if I've done that, I've done my job. And to quote the Mad Titan, Juan Valdez, dread it, run from it, destiny still arrives. Being forewarned is forearmed. And if I've done that, I've done my job. Anyway, with that, I'm going to end this ramble. If you've gotten to this point, congratulations. I haven't done this in a while. And I'll try not to go so long without another stream of consciousness. Hopefully I can do this once a week, but we'll see. This is BGS out. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.